It was a mere 10 years ago that Steven Spielberg's blockbuster film, Minority Report, previewed about a pre-crime unit. In other words, police trying to predict who would commit crimes and then arrest them before they committed the crimes. That film premiered in 2002. It was a tremendous blockbuster. A lot of people saw it, but during that time, folks were saying, sci-fi stuff, none of this stuff will really come true in the future. All the things that we saw in that movie. And I tell people, go back and watch that movie, because what we're seeing today, we're seeing that movie played out. Here's the plot. The year is 2054. The place is Washington, D.C., working in the city in which there has been no murder committed in 6 years, due in large part to his efforts combining widespread surveillance with behavior prediction technologies. John Anderton, who's played by actor Tom Cruise, is chief of the Department of Pre-Crime in Washington, D.C. He uses precognitive technology to capture would-be criminals before they can do any damage. In other words, before they commit crimes. Unfortunately, John Anderton gets caught up into the system where he is accused of a pre-crime, and he is tracked and tries to escape. As I said, seemingly, most of the technology people saw in this film they thought would never occur. Well, a mere 10 years later, almost everything that we saw in that film 10 years ago is now fact. Let's now contrast fiction with the reality check. Fiction. In Minority Report, police use holographic data screens, citywide surveillance cameras, dimensional maps, and database feeds to monitor the movements of its citizens. Reality check. Microsoft, in partnership with New York City, has developed a crime-fighting system that will allow police to quickly collate and visualize vast amounts of data from cameras, license plate readers, 911 calls, police databases, and other sources. It will then display the information in real time, both visually and chronologically, allowing investigators to centralize information about crimes as they happen or are reported. Fiction. No matter where people go in the world of Minority Report, one's biometric data precedes them, allowing corporations to tap into their government profile and target them for advertising based on their highly individual characteristics. Reality check. Google is presently working on context-based advertising that will use environmental sensors in your cell phone, laptop, and so on to deliver targeted ads tailored to fit with what you're seeing and hearing in the real world. However, long before Google set their sights on context advertising, facial and iris recognition machines were being employed, supposedly, to detect criminals, streamline security checkpoint processes, and facilitate everyday activities. In fact, by 2014, the FBI plans to launch a nationwide database of iris scans for use by law enforcement agencies in their effort to track criminals. Fiction. In Minority Report, a government agent uses 6 sticks to subdue criminal suspects using less lethal methods. In other words, compliance weapons. Reality check. In 2007, the Department of Homeland Security granted a contract to develop an LED incapacitator. It's a flashlight-like device that emits a dazzling array of pulsating lights, incapacitating its target by causing nausea and vomiting. Then there are other devices such as the long-range acoustic device, which emits painful noises in order to disperse crowds. They were both used at the London Olympics recently and the G20 protest in Pittsburgh. Fiction. In Minority Report, tiny sensory-guided spider robots converge on John Anderson, scan his biometric data, and feed it into a central government database. Reality check. An agency with the Department of Defense is working on turning insects into living UAVs or cybugs. There have already been reported sightings of dragonfly-like robotic drones monitoring protesters aerially in Washington, D.C. Fiction. In Minority Report, Anderton flees his pursuers in a car whose movements are tracked by the police through the use of onboard computers. All around him, autonomous driverless vehicles zip through the city, moving people to their destinations based upon simple voice commands. Reality check. Google has already created self-driving cars which have already surpassed 300,000 miles of road testing. It's anticipated that self-driving cars could be on American roads within the next 20 years, if not sooner. These are just a few of the devices now at the disposal of the corporate police state. If our government, especially Congress, does not put some kind of limits on the use of these devices, and specifically to protect our privacy, because eventually, with drones coming and hovering over the skies by 2015, 30,000 drones probably flying over the United States by 2020, With the ability to see through the walls of your home, there will be absolutely no privacy. And what happens is any human dignity we might have, any human rights we may have will be completely eviscerated. Folks, the future is here and it looks frightening.